Today you're going to be on page 21 in your journal where the notes pages are. For today there are a few things that you might want to jot down. We're going to do an exercise in there as we go along. Make sure your electronics are away. Thank you. The first thing I want to say is that the syllabus for this course, I believe, serves as a contract. So what you read in the syllabus is what I am offering to you, and it's also what you are going to be responding to as you move through the class. So I'll do my best to uphold my part of the syllabus, and with me comes the 38 TAs that are working with your sections. So if something is happening in your lab group with your TA, for instance, you're not getting journals graded and handed back to you, or if your TA is canceling your lab, or something else that's affecting your educational experience in this course, then I need to know about it because I am the one that ultimately upholds that contract. So please tell me if something isn't going the way it's supposed to, according to the syllabus. Please keep me informed on that. If you don't tell me about it, then I don't know that it's going on and I can't help to fix it. So please be in communication with me. Also, if you still have yet to join the GroupMe for your lab, please do that. That's pretty important. That's how you will be receiving lots of communication from your TA. That's also how you can ask questions about assignments or other things that you need to have information from your TA. So the GroupMe is really essential to the class. So please make sure that you join in on that. If you want to share this course with anyone, you can offer them the the YouTube channel and to watch the videos of class. And then it's opening conversation, right? So I consider that BiSci is a place where we build community. So if there are people that you'd like to open that community to, people in your family or friends, have them watch some of the lectures, I don't like to call them lectures, some of this class, that's completely cool. And I really support and encourage you to do that because they might have opinions and questions and things that might make you think more deeply about what you're thinking about. And so it brings more meaning and depth for you if you are sharing the information with other people. So I invite you to do that via the YouTube channel. Pack back. You should have received an email invitation from your TA to join Pack Back. Please do that. At the end of the class today, you'll get your first Pack Back question, and that is going to be due at 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. So what's due is that the question that I ask you, you're going to ask that question of yourself as your Pack Back reflection question, and then you're going to write your reflection about it. How do you answer the question? Then you're going to have someone in your lab that's going to respond to your reflection. So for each week, you write a reflection that's yours, and you write a response to somebody else's reflection. So if you choose to submit your original reflection at 11:50 on Sunday night, then nobody's going to get a chance to respond to your reflection. So this is a teamwork activity that I ask that you consider the question, that you answer it in a timely fashion, you reflect on it, and then you respond to somebody else. But please do it in a timely fashion so that everybody gets a chance to respond. If your partner hasn't responded by 11 whatever on Sunday, whatever's reasonable for you, then go ahead and respond on somebody else's post. But it's really cool when it can work together as teams and you get to learn a little bit about each other. It's just another way of deepening that community that we're working on here in BiSci 3. So those are a few things. I think those are all my announcements at this point, and then we'll go back, take a quick flashback to last Wednesday when I left you with this, the self-study of the sidewalk experiment. I challenged you to experience this. What happens when you walk past other people on the sidewalk? What do you observe, as scientists? What kind of observations are you making about yourself? And then you ask questions of yourself about that, and then maybe experiment with some other ways of being or other ways of choosing to make those interactions on the sidewalk. So I challenged you to that one, and then I also offered you this, the what informs and the why transforms. So did you experiment with this? The way that you ask questions, what kind of conversations you can open up if you're changing the way that you ask questions. How did these two experiments make you feel? Did you do them? Did you not do them? If you didn't do them, that's interesting too. So take a moment and talk to your neighbor about this, about these two experiments, and then we'll get the microphones out. Stories to share? Any observations you made or questions you asked? Anyone want to share an experience? Great. Here's someone right here in the middle. Camille, microphones? Oh, come on up this way if you would, please. Thank you. And raise your hand again, whoever was to. There you go. Thank you. Thanks, Liberty. Just click it on.
Okay, it's working now. So with the sidewalk experiment, I just last night I was walking back from a club meeting. It was really foggy out last night.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't really see people ahead, but I still just said excuse me because it was in the path, in my path.
Yeah.
And then for the why questions, it just helped me think about. I felt like it helped me understand myself better.
Oh, interesting. In what way? Can you say a little more?
One of the questions I asked is why am I thinking I'm a finance major, but I'm thinking of pursuing a math minor. Why am I pursuing a math minor? So help me understand what am I actually trying to get out of it? Am I wasting my time doing it?
Oh, sweet. That's a pretty good question. Important question. Thank you. Any other observations or questions?
Hi, I'm here.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
So that sidewalk picture, that was exactly what happened to me yesterday. I saw the exact same thing yesterday after I got out of my class. And there was this guy walking forward and I heard noises and it was pretty scary. So I called my boyfriend and then I called my parents. So I think my first immediate response was to call someone you trust or you love or someone even though it was a call, you just know that you could trust someone.
Yeah.
I think that's a response.
Sweet experience. Nice. Okay, great.
Okay, so since last class, I kind of trying to pay attention to who I'm walking past when I'm going to and from my place. So maybe if I see somebody that I had a class with last semester or I knew them from NSO, I just smile instead of just putting my head down and acting like I'm texting somebody.
Oh, nice. Smiling. Awesome. That's great.
We have one up on your left in the balcony.
Oh, great. Thanks, Kat.
For the sidewalk experiment, I feel like I often find myself saying hi to strangers. If it's an empty sidewalk and it's just me and them, I'll say good morning, good afternoon. If it's crowded, I'll just walk with a smile on my face. But an example of this isn't just sidewalk. After one of the classes last week, I went to Target, and all the TAs in this class go to Target after class. Yeah, I see you. But I overheard one of them asking a Target employee for help, and the employee didn't know how to help, but I did, so I went over and helped them make their decision, based off of my knowledge.
Yeah, sweet. Thanks for offering that. Yeah. So all of these provide insights, right, into how we are believing in ourselves and what we believe about our culture, but then also how we are acting in these moments really shape our culture, right? It's the way that we believe about the human other, whether we see us or them, is a really interesting and important question. It's a big question these days. And so how can we do that? And just knowing that there's no right or wrong answer, we'll move to this image. Okay, check this out and take it in. Notice what thoughts come up for you as you look at this. Any assessments or judgments? Any feelings arise when you look at this picture? Might want to jot a note in your journal about it if you feel so inclined. So take a moment now and talk with your neighbor. What are their thoughts and feelings and gut reaction to this image? Talk to your neighbor. So what do you want to say about this? Anybody want to share their thoughts, reactions, feelings about this image?
Do I say my name?
Sure, if you want to say your name. Great. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Maya.
Hi, Maya.
So I said that this picture kind of reminds me that in life everything is different, but in terms of nature it ultimately is under one thing. Everything in nature is united. And my neighbor said something that she pointed out the fact that she admires that it's a woman in the center of it, and also because women tend to be more nurturing and caring and the whole mother nature thing.
Lovely. So your thoughts kind of tied together. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Nice. Thank you. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ella.
Hi, Ella.
My whole group, we kind of thought that it looked like the person from Moana, Tafiti. Is that her name?
Tafiti.
Yeah. Immediately that's what we all thought of.
Yeah.
And how she just looked like she loved nature and loved taking care of people, and I just thought it was funny that we all immediately thought of that.
Yeah. It's a pretty common thought. Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
I'm down here, right in front of you. Sorry.
Oh, right there. Great.
Similar to the last person, I thought of the "I Lava You" song, and also the sky kind of reminded me of "Starry Night" by Vincent Van Gogh. But it was overall just like a really calming picture. Like the colors all blend together really well, and I like would not mind just sitting and like looking at this picture for a while.
Yeah, I actually want to be in the picture, I think, right? Yeah, perfect, thank you.
We have another up on your left in the balcony.
Great, thanks, Kat.
I noticed the diversity of like all the animals and living things that are like on her and like all the nature and everything and the colors. And I also think it's cool that you can't really tell what race she is either. So I feel like that kind of like ties in with all the nature and diversity of everything going on in the art. And I think that's also really cool.
Sweet, thank you. So when we look at the world, right, we all take in information, and what we do with that then is our choice, right? And I really like that about it, that, you know, this can bring up similar thoughts for some of you, you know, like, oh, it looks like Moana, it looks like Te Fiti. So, but also then maybe other people didn't think that. But for those things that we have in common, those thoughts we have in common, it still can elicit different emotions, right? So we aren't all experiencing the same thing, even if that was the beginning thought, right? It could connect to a time that you watched that movie with your family, or it could connect to something that you enjoyed about it. It could connect. So there are all these things that we can become in relationship with. And the more that we do that, then more and more emerges. And there's no right or wrong. So even though some of you saw or reminded you of the same thing, thought the same thing, then it still is different and unique for each person. They're both correct. They're all correct. All of your views and visions, because that's what you brought to it and how you chose to process it. So today's topic is about dualism. How we see things often in opposites or in just two sides. It's about either or thinking. It's a way of experiencing the world. So let's practice this. We'll experience it just in a couple of very simple ways. So changing our habits of perception. Take in this. Has anybody seen this image before? Yeah, some nodding out there. Okay. So how many of you see two young women talking to each other? Okay. And how many of you see a younger woman talking with an older woman? Okay. And how many people can see both? Okay, great. So for the explanation, so this is the younger woman in both cases. And on this way, this is the younger woman with her nose here and her chin, and she's wearing a choker collar. Or if you're seeing it as the older woman, then this is her nose, and this is her mouth, and her eye instead of the ear. Okay, I hear some gasping. Is it coming clearer to more people now? Both ways of seeing? Okay. So seeing both ways opens our mind to more possibilities, right? It's opening our mind. So how about this one? Take in this image, seeing with new eyes. This is the hero's journey in action, right? It's opening our mind to other things. So this is called the Fraser Circle. So as you take this in, the first time I looked at this, I could definitely, it appears as though it's spiraling toward the center, right? Except that it's the Fraser spiral, and actually it's not spiraling at all. It's actually concentric circles that go all the way into the center. And so these things, when our mind can understand and see things from new perspectives, certainly engenders a certain level of humility of like, oh, I didn't see that. I didn't see like that at all. And so these are simple these are just like eye-brain exercises. But if we translate that to the real world, when we're experiencing things, maybe a conversation that you have in the hub, and you walk away thinking, oh, that was a satisfying conversation, and the other person is walking the other way going, what just happened? I think that we're in disagreement, like a totally different perspective of what happened. So one more of these. Okay, everybody put your finger straight up in the air. Okay, and start spiraling it, turning it clockwise, right? So it's moving clockwise. Everybody doing that? Okay, great. Okay, and keep doing this, keep it going the same way, and then slowly bring it down so that it's at your eye level, still moving your finger. And now you're bringing it down and down and down below your eye level. And which way is your finger going? It's going now. Yeah, okay, you can do it. Yep, do it again if you want. Okay, very cool. And now it's going counterclockwise, right? It's shifting your perspective. It's adding to your perspective. You can do this back in your room all you'd like. This is great. So that's what we're here. We as individuals are shifting our perspective, right? We're gathering more information. We're changing, we're adding to what we do. So our perceptions are how we take in the world around us, which leads us to, feel things about the world around us. But if we don't have the full vision, if we don't have the full perspective, then we can be very closed. So what we're thinking about in this class about dualism is moving from that place of distinct black and white, where it's really a very deeply ingrained Western habit, that predisposes us to divide things, divide what our reality is into black or white. So you could consider it as attractive and unattractive, valuable, worthless, trash versus information. So there are ways that we view the world. Often that either you believe in God or you don't. Either you're a Democrat or you're a Republican. Either you're a white person or a black person. Either you're male or female. Either you're guilty or not guilty. Like these places of black and white. And through this, the way that becomes a challenge is that there's a downside to it. We're living a more simplistic and dogmatic and fundamentalist life when we don't open our perspective. So this symbol really helps us to open up. What if, rather than the either-or world of black and white square, we move to a place where we can see more perspectives, right? It's very akin to this ancient Chinese symbol of the yin-yang, a place where black and white can mix and blend, and understanding that the more we know, the less we really know. There's so much to know and to feel. So dualism, this Western way of thinking, can really close us off to options. It closes off our creativity and our freedom, and it closes off the way that we execute our lives. So why are we doing this in BiSci, right? Why are we talking about something that's so not science, except that it is important to realize what our biases are, because as humans, as scientists, we have to understand why we're thinking things so that we can get down underneath those layers in order to understand our own biases, to open to more possibilities, to transcend the dualism of our lives. So how can we do that? And is there anything that's coming up for you in the moment as we're talking about this? Does anybody have any thoughts or comments or questions want to share? So how can we do this? transcend this dualism. We're going to do some practice. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. Great.
Sorry.
No, good. Good.
I'm Gigi, and my mom, every time when I have like negative thoughts, my mom always tells me, she's like, the negative energy that you put out will always come back to you. And she always tells me and my sister, we always have to change our perception of the world, not like everyone's so mean to me or the world sucks, whatever. Change your perspective, and the positive vibes will come back to you when you change that perspective.
Sweet. Your mom and I should have coffee. That's great. Thank you, Gigi. Yeah. Any other thoughts out there? Okay. So we're going to do some practice, and this might bring up more thoughts for you. So on this chart, as you look at the dyads being a pair of words that appear as opposites as we go down through here. So on your notes page, I'd like you to list these dyads and then choose which one of the pair you feel is superior and which one is inferior. All right, so if you marked up as superior to down, why did you choose that way? Is up really superior? May seem like it. After all, some of us conceive that heaven is up, or we use phrases like, things are looking up. The music is upbeat. I'm up for it. She brightens up the room. So these and similar expressions can lead us to believe that, or associate that up is better, is good, is desirable, but obviously that's kind of a cultural overlay because up is not necessarily superior to down. The concepts need each other, right? They work together. For without down, there is no up. Right? They have to both be. There's no way to distinguish upstairs from downstairs, uptown from downtown, uphill from downhill, if we don't have both. So it's our culture that has taught us that up feels superior to down, the way that we choose to use those words. So you could often, playing devil's advocate, make the argument that the second word is better, than the first in a lot of these cases. So take the pairing rich versus poor, right? It seems many people think that rich is going to be superior to poor, but if you were to travel a bit and to live among those that we call poor, you might be surprised to discover that the poor are often superior to the rich in terms of their common sense, in terms of their generosity, openness, compassion, creativity, resourcefulness, awareness. So then is rich really better than poor? So on your notes page there, on the chart that you've created, circle the pairing that's hardest for you to mentally flip in some way. The one that you're struggling with, flipping the story. And then talk to your partner about that. To hear from some of you about your struggles. What struggles are you facing? What's challenging for you? And then maybe some of your classmates have some insights for you about flipping the superior and inferior. Someone right here in the middle. Okay, we'll get to you in a minute.
Hi, I'm Brendan.
Hi, Brendan.
The one that was hardest for me was student and teacher.
Ooh. Can you say a little more about your struggle?
Yeah, so I'm an education major, and you learn that your students are your top priority. You're doing everything for them. But also as a teacher, you know what you're teaching. You know probably more than anyone else about that topic. But does that actually make you better than your students? Because you're going to learn from your students every day, and they're the mind that's like going to make the difference. You just help facilitate that.
Yeah.
Which is kind of hard to grapple with and really interesting to me.
I love your wrestling. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah. We can talk it over.
We have one up on the balcony, Jen.
Cool. Thanks, Kat.
Hi, my name is Esme. I have the hardest time flipping the generous and selfish ones. I don't know, to me, like, I guess morality is important to me personally, so, like, I can't in good faith, like, say that being selfish is superior to being generous, because to me that just feels wrong.
Okay. Does anybody have anything to share for her? Yeah, there's...
We have some people on the balcony.
Okay.
Just one.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Hannah. Me and my partner were talking about this topic and how in life it is important to have a balance of generosity and selfishness. It's important to be able to give to others, but also at the end of the day, you got to look out for yourself. Nobody's, I don't know. You got to balance it, like. And then the sorry, the dyad that was the hardest to flip for me was best and worst, because I don't know, best is fundamentally better than worst. So I can't really think of an argument to flip those.
Okay, cool. Anybody have a debate about or something to say about best and worst?
Hi.
Yeah.
My name's Jen, so twinning. So I couldn't see all of them just because of the angle that I'm at.
Yeah.
But for me, it was educated and uneducated, just because. And when I say uneducated and educated, I don't mean schooling. We actually learn. I'm an education major as well, and we learned that there's like a difference between schooling and being educated. And you don't have to go to school to be educated. When I say like educated or uneducated, I mean like uneducated would be like closing your mind off to new things, or not being willing to learn new things and only thinking about your own opinion. And so in that sense, I do feel like it's inferior. So it's hard to like switch those two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that this was more geared toward that, your topic of schooling specifically.
Mhm.
And so I appreciate that you brought that up. So thank you. So this might be a conversation that you take into your lab. Yes. I'm getting a big wave from the, go ahead.
Can we do one more?
Yes, we can do one more. Yeah.
All right, so I've been kind of waiting to talk for a little bit, but
good.
To the first person, when she was talking about selfish versus generous, and
Yeah.
the second person kind of touched on it, to kind of clarify that in order to be generous, you have to be selfish,
Yeah.
because generosity is a matter of giving, and selfishness is a matter of taking for yourself.
Yeah.
And you have to have something in order to give it to somebody.
Yep.
Right.
I have found that my most generous moments come when I've taken care of
Yeah.
myself, right?
One is for yourself, and then that same person also talked about best versus worst.
Yeah.
I'll say, in terms of being like best versus worst, when you're the worst, you have everybody else to look up to. You still have a ladder to climb, so there's a lot of like potential for you to reach. So in that case, that could be a better option. Versus
Yeah.
if you're the best, you're essentially perfect and you have nowhere to grow.
Yeah.
Right? And then for the last one, she said educated versus uneducated.
Yeah.
For that, that's a matter of like experience, and it's kind of similar to the best versus worst. We still have like a lot of room to grow, a lot of like malleability. And then if you're too educated, that means, I don't know, you're too willing to grow, right? And if you're too willing to grow, that means you're subject to other people's opinions too much, and then you don't really have your own morals to stand on.
Oh.
But yeah, that's my take on all of it.
Thank you. I appreciate your speaking. Thank you. So take these conversations into your labs this week if you'd like, and wrestle with some of these dyads or create some of your own dyads. It can sometimes be really hard to shift our thinking, right? Those are kind of big mental shifts that we have the potential to make, but it can be really hard when you're shifting your story. But the idea that we can get past like a place of fundamentalism where I am right and you are wrong, where we can get past a dogmatic approach where the only solution is this one way, it might get rid of some narrow-mindedness, being able to see more options. So I think that if we can open ourselves to these possibilities, we are going to be way better scientists. We're going to be way better human beings as we move through the world, right? More capable for that community for which we were made, for which we are thriving, right? So take in this story. It's a story by Martha Beck. She's a psychologist. She tells a story from her youth about the crippling effects of dualism. When I was in college, every few weeks, I'd join this or that group of artists, and we'd all pitch in a few bucks to rent a studio and hire a model. Most of the people we got to pose were college students with bodies that matched the social ideal: slender, fit, perfectly proportioned. And then one day we got somebody really different. She looked well over 60 with a deeply lined face and a body that was probably 50 pounds heavier than her doctors would have liked. Shining purple welts from a cesarean section and a knee surgery cut deep rifts in the rippled fat, adipose fat of her lower body. Another scar ran across one side of her chest where her left breast had once been. When she limped to the platform to pose, I felt so much pity and unease that I physically flinched. But we were there to draw her, so I picked up my pencil. The thing about drawing is that you can't do it well with your social self. You have to bring out your essential self, which doesn't know anything about social stereotypes. And so as I began to draw this maimed old woman, the most amazing thing happened. Within 5 minutes, she became a person of absolutely wondrous beauty. She didn't look like a supermodel. She didn't have to. Her body in and of itself was as beautiful as a piece of polished driftwood, or a wind-carved rock, or a waterfall. My essential self didn't know that I was supposed to compare the woman to various movie stars any more than it would have evaluated the Andes Mountains by judging how much they looked like an Iowa cornfield. It simply saw her as she was, an exquisite sculptural form. When this perceptual shift happened, I was so surprised that I stopped drawing and I simply stared at her. The model seemed to notice this, and without turning her head, she looked straight into my eyes. Then I saw a ghost of a smile flicker across her face, and I realized something. She knew she was beautiful, and she knew that I had seen it. Knowing that a room full of artists couldn't draw her without really seeing her, I mean really seeing her, she may have decided to give us a gentle education about our perceptions. So for the young Beck, it was the separation of human bodies into attractive versus unattractive that initially blocked her from truly seeing the person on the platform. Her culture had conditioned her to see the woman as old and maimed and pathetic, and that story trapped her. But everything shifted when Beck picked up her pencil and began to simply draw what she saw, free of her cultural overlays. It was then that Beck was able to see the uniqueness of the particular human form on the platform. It should also be noted that the woman played an important key role in Beck's own transformation. She was fully at home in her own skin. Liberated from the shackles of social structures and standards, the woman on the platform experienced herself fully enough, just as she was, and Beck learned that it was possible to do that for herself. So escaping this space of dualism by seeing with our deeper selves, right? Hearing, listening to people with our deeper selves. So there's a dualism here that we've experienced in COVID-19. It started as a disease in wildlife, in pangolins particularly, and bats. And then it made the jump to humans because of the wet air open markets there where customers can buy fresh meat and fish, including animals that are killed on the spot for the expectant customer. So we've been living in the time of dualism, where we have things to learn, where we have perspectives to open. It takes hard work to push ourselves in these ways. But when we can do this, when we can admit ignorance and open to discovery, the only thing worth learning is learning how to unlearn. The way you do that is questioning everything. Byron Katie. So with that, I ask you to reflect on this question, opening to the unknown, breaking out of what you do know, considering dualism. This is your pack back question. for this week. Thank you very much. I hope that you have a beautiful day.